All right, welcome. I'm Tim Scoggins, Chairman of the Shasberry Select Board, and I am calling this meeting of the Shasberry Select Board to order at 6:30 on Monday, April 2, 2018. First off, I need to ask, does any member of the board have a conflict of interest with anything appearing on the agenda this evening?
No.
No. Approval of minutes. I didn't get any minutes.
There are no minutes for this meeting. We'll have a couple the next time around.
Okay. Warrants. We got a couple. First, I have payroll warrant number 19 in the amount of $25,493.74.
So move.
Motion to approve from Art.
Second.
Second by Ken. Any discussion?
None.
All in favor of approving payroll warrant number 19, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So that payroll warrant number 19 in the amount of $25,493.74 is approved 400. And here I have check warrant number 32, the amount of $10,743.13.
So move.
Motion to approve from Art,
Second.
seconded by Ken. This says it is Vermont Department of Public Safety. Oh, that's one of it.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. That was just the coal hall fire permit, I presume.
Yeah.
And then the other part was retirement VEMRs. Okay.
Is that only one?
I thought there were two
I
warrants.
thought there were two warrants there too. Maybe the papers got stuck together? Because the VEMA should be separate.
Yeah.
It looks like I've got another one here for the Department of Public Safety separately at the same amount. So it looks like it got added to this one. So it look.
Let me take a peek at those.
Oh yeah. See, we need to this one with the VEMRs. It looks like we need to remove the Department of Public Safety thing because it's on this one over here.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Okay.
It might have just printed out by the date range, because I think those were both the same day. So
Okay.
I think you can just probably scratch it out. I can do it.
Okay. All right. So.
The paperwork that backs it up would only have.
Yeah, I'm gonna cross that out, and,
Do you want me to initial it?
yeah. But I think I need a motion to amend this warrant so that the amount reads $10,446.33.
Let me see,
So move.
Motion to amend from Art,
yeah, just because
seconded
of
by Ken.
the date.
Any discussion on the amendment? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The amendment is agreed to by a vote of 400. So we are back to voting on check warrant number 32 in the amount of $10,446.33. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So that check warrant number 32 passes 400 in the amount of $10,446.33. Okay, and here I have check warrant number 31 for the Department of Public Safety thing, the coal hall fire permit, in the amount of $296.80.
So move.
Motion to approve from Art.
Second.
Seconded by Ken. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So check warrant number 31 in the amount of $296.80 passes by a vote of 400. And then I have check warrant number 33 in the amount of $86,045.50.
So moved.
Motion to approve from Art.
Second.
Seconded by Ken. Items over $1,000, we've got, for American Rock Salt, we have $1,400, $1,400, $4,100, and $4,300. For Betchard's Farm Equipment, we have $5,400.
It was for our mulcher, and 5,000 of that is a grant.
I remember that, yeah, that was a deal. 1,040 for Endyne, that must be the, is that the testing?
That's the fall groundwater testing at the landfill.
Very
For
good.
last fall?
For last fall, yeah.
Right. GA Bow Fuels, 1,700, 1,600, and 1,700. Hathaway Electric, 1,700. That was for the
That's for the
sign.
Sign, yeah.
Morse Repair, 1,600.
That was the tow.
Told him, John.
When we
Okay.
flipped the truck.
Right, right. US Bank, 16,000. Looks like a,
That's the bond payment for the garage. The May bond payment.
oh, okay. So we pay those monthly?
No, twice a year. Once in May and once in, is it October? I'd have to look at the thing.
Yeah.
It's twice a year you make a payment.
Oh.
One's much larger, this is the smaller payment. The first
Okay,
one's
I was
larger.
gonna say, that
Double
doesn't,
it.
Yeah.
that doesn't sound like half the payment, yeah. Yeah, all right. Weaver Landscaping, 1,700.
That's part of the sign also.
Okay. William E. Daley, 9,900, 16,000, 6,400. So those are the major items. Any more discussion on check warrant number 33?
How do we do on the salt budget? This probably, hopefully is the last of it.
Yeah, hopefully this is the last of it on the salt budget.
Just curious.
Yeah, no, I actually highlighted these things today, just to make fun. The salt, we're at 123% and
So we're over.
sand 127%.
So we're over for the year.
Yeah, which isn't that bad.
Okay.
Not a tremendous amount over, not as far over as our
No.
overtime was.
And it was still snowing this morning?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So check warrant number 33 in the amount of $86,045.50 is approved 400. Warrants, so are there any announcements? No? Any public comments? All right, treasurer's report. Melanie, welcome.
Hello. Yep, thank you. Not very much going on at all. I mean, what I do all day is print out tax bills for people who forgot to keep them. That's what this month is about, or the next week.
Oh, yeah, because it's tax
Yes,
season.
yeah. Nothing particularly unusual going on. That transfer is just some money that was due from, just cleaning, some house cleaning there. Clerk revenue, you can see pushing 6,000 this month. I think that's mostly because of dog licenses. Nothing else particularly interesting. If you want to look down at the bottom, you can see the budget, how we are versus last year. Very, very similar. Both revenues and expenditures are slightly lower than last year, but that means that we're in good shape. Some of that's probably timing. The only other thing I want to talk about is that The Municipay is just working out great. We've gotten payments through online, over the phone, and in person for water and lots of dog licenses. We also got our first e-check, bank transfer the other day. So everything's working great, and it just shows there was so much pent-up demand for this that we haven't even really advertised it all that much, and we're getting them every day. We're getting a few, which means we're able to get up to speed with the way we're doing the workflow. But it's really great. They're easy to work with, and I wish we'd done it years ago.
Yeah, well, good. I'm glad you pushed to make that happen. So is this all after discussion, or are people just going to the website and sending in
Well,
payments?
the people who are finding it on the website, that we're not even telling them. They just went to the website and saw, oh, cool, One of them was a water payment that I think that they don't have a checking account or something, but do have a credit card. This is the first time that they've been paid up in years, and it's really,
Okay.
really gratifying. So
Excellent.
that, and then with the ones that are in person, I think it's just Marlene is able to tell them about it, or over the phone, and a lot of people are just really glad to hear that's an option.
And this is the one where it doesn't cost the town any...
It doesn't cost the town a penny. It
service
costs,
charge.
the people paying have to pay a $3, or for the e-checks, it's a flat $1.50, which is a really good deal. But it's not costing us anything.
Yeah, it's like there's a $3 minimum on credit cards, and it's like above the $3, it's 2.6 or something.
Yeah, I can't remember the number off. It's
Percent
a
that
break even at $113 or something. Yeah.
Yeah, so the fees are paid by the credit card user. Well, good.
Yeah. Any questions about anything?
I just have one. This has nothing to do with what, when money comes in to you for the school tax and you write a check, do you write it to the Shaftesbury School or do you write it to the state of Vermont?
I am basically collecting the taxes on behalf of the state. So the money goes directly to the school. So I'm kind of the...
Directly to the Shaftesbury School?
Yeah, I'm collecting it on behalf of the state.
Okay.
So I'm the one who transfers it. Otherwise, it would...
But it's transferred to Shaftesbury School and that
Yeah,
it doesn't...
half of it goes to the school and half goes to the supervisory union, or I don't know if it's half.
Yeah, but I mean,
Yeah.
but all that's
Yeah.
part of the budget. Okay.
Right, yes.
All right. Thank you.
But people make their checks out to Town of Shaftesbury.
Yes, yeah, I understand that.
Yeah, I'm the tax collector for both entities.
Mhm.
I mean, otherwise it would be me collecting it, sending it to the state, and then them turning around and sending it back out again. So it's just cutting off one leg of the triangle.
Which is how school funding works, as I understand it.
It is how it works, it's just that rather
But
than
we don't have
doing
to
the
send every
transfer-
dollar back and forth. I guess they
Yeah.
decide at some point, I owe you money or you owe me
Yeah,
money.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yep, thank you.
But it bears pointing out that I don't have any say in how much I give them. If for some reason if our delinquent taxes went through the roof, I still have to give them that money. Even if it means that
Coming out of our general fund?
it's never happened, but it's a theoretical possibility. We are on the hook for that money no matter what.
Interesting.
And the state is talking about billing separately for them. I don't know if you were aware of this bill that's working its way through, where we might have to send out separate tax bills, one for municipal and one for education, which is going to double the treasurer's workloads. And it doesn't change the obligation to pay. It's that people might get confused that they have some say. No,
Yes.
and we have to pay the whole kit and caboodle to the schools no
Okay.
matter what.
Okay,
It could be quite complicated if that passes.
okay, thank you.
That's
Yeah.
interesting,
Watch
because
this
people
space.
don't pay us, we have to, cut back on what we spend, but
No, I
People
mean,
don't
this
pay
this
this-
really, I didn't mean to be alarmist about it. That would just be if for some reason, we have always been on the hook for that, and it always has been the case. It just would make it be more obvious if they got separate bills.
oh, yeah, I'm just saying, I didn't realize that we had that obligation all
Yeah.
along, just because we're collecting them as a courtesy, really. I mean, I guess you are getting paid, so, by the school.
It's Yeah, I mean, it's not
So
a
why can't it just be
courtesy,
your
it's just-
fault if they don't get enough?
Yeah, right.
But that's interesting, so when there's delinquent taxes, so when somebody doesn't pay their taxes,
That's all municipal, by definition.
okay.
I think, boy, you know, I'm not an attorney, but that's the way it works. I mean, I get an email saying this is how much you need to send to the school. I don't get to argue about it. That is the amount that needs to be transferred.
Okay.
Interesting. Okay. All right, thank you. Roads report. Dave, are you doing our roads report?
Yeah, I'll do it tonight. We have, just a follow-up with what we were talking about earlier about the budget. We're currently for salt at 123% of budget and winter sand at 127% of budget. I would expect both of those to get close to 140, because that was as of the close of March, but as we read off, there's some bills here already, and so I'd expect them to go up a little bit more. For overtime, I'm expecting that to hit close to 200% of overtime for this year. It's not, it sounds like a huge amount, but I think we've always budgeted a little low for overtime. I've been trying to bring that up. A few years back, the overtime was cut substantially to give everyone $1 raise or something like that. I don't know all the details of it, but, you know, it's also in the category of you have good years and you have bad. A couple of years ago, we had a lot of leftover highway money because we didn't have a winter. And this year, especially the last month, really kind of did us in. December, when we had all that ice, took up a lot of time. The first time we did overtime was the first payroll of December, which is a little unusual. And December was pretty heavy, and they were out all day Christmas Day, which is always a big hit. So things panned out. On the other side, one of our crew members has taken a job with another town, so I'm debating looking at making up some of this expenditure by reduction in force till July 1st of the next fiscal year, and just work with 5 guys instead of 6 for the next 3 months. That'll make up some of the overtime expenses we have. We have one major project that is a deadline project for funding from the state that's due July 1st, and I don't think we'll have a problem getting that done. Everything else can kind of wait till after July 1st. And we have plenty of roads to grade and potholes to fill, as some people undoubtedly have discovered. But otherwise, it's in fairly decent shape.
Mm-hmm.
Our truck that went over, going back to the budget, that is being repaired, not directly from the turnover that was taken care of. During the repairs, part of the engine was damaged during the repair, and that was taken care of by our contractor. But we've added a little bit more onto it so that we're essentially getting a brand new engine out of this deal. And because the truck doesn't have a lot of rust, we expect it to run on for a while. That truck was due for replacement in 2020, so, fiscal 20. So we might be able to stretch that out a ways and save a little more money. It was a minor investment for the rest of the parts to finish the engine, so we decided we would do that. And talking with Steve and Dave and Delores, it just seemed it's a part on the floor at their expense. We might as well kick in and finish the job off completely. So, what else do we have in the roads? They are out. Days we can get the graders out. They've been out. This is kind of nice weather for this, so they're out doing the best they can with the roads and filling potholes, and they're getting to them. And feel free, please, to call and tell us where some are. I mean, there are a lot of roads. If you're having a real bad one, let us know, and we do respond and try and get to them. So, and I guess that's about it for the roads.
Shading areas probably still frozen up.
Yes, they are.
I thought-
Yeah. There's no even with 50 miles of gravel road across this town.
Yeah.
There's no blanket answer to it, but where they can get to has been pretty good. These roads held up pretty well, although there's still a lot of potholes towards the Arlington end. And every road could have some parts and some are good. That's why I say if you have a problem in a specific part of a road, just leave a message at my office or at the garage, and we can get to them. Some days these look bad, and the next day a big one opens on another road. It's nice to know about it before it gets too bad.
The areas where we put in French drains, holding up pretty good?
Yeah, oh, yeah, I drove over them this morning, as a matter of fact. In fact, they kind of leveled out, because they had them, they settled a little bit. This morning they rode flat. It was kind of interesting.
Frost.
Yeah, so, it's,
Takes all the pressure off it when you
yeah,
do that.
it's an interesting thing we put in, and I think, it's not the same kind of mud season we had last year so far, so it's working the way it's coming out this year.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's the cheapest way to
Yeah, it is.
solve it.
Stone and fabric.
Yeah.
It's a big stone pillow, as they call it.
Yeah, water's your biggest enemy.
Yeah. So far, keep your fingers crossed, they've all worked well. So,
Yeah.
Did you want to talk about the sidewalk machine?
We're kind of just looking at the sidewalk machine. Right now, we have the trackless, which is an excellent piece of equipment. We're getting a price list together. We have in the budget for this year for equipment, $30,000 to $40,000 to do something with the sidewalk machine. Because we have the old John Deere, and we have the trackless. The trackless, we have a lot of attachments to for sweeping and all kinds of things like that. The trackless it's really an excellent piece of equipment. This one's very old, but it appears it needs a transmission and the center joint and maybe a few electrical issues. So we're looking at the parts and having it repaired, because for maybe $10,000 in parts and labor, we can have a machine that's going to run for a number of more years, and we have all the attachments for it, so we don't have to go out and buy attachments. You go out and buy a new tractor, you have a $30,000 tractor if you can find one for $30,000, and then you got to buy everything, hook on it. So we're looking for a used tractor somewhere else that we can cannibalize, or cannibalize this one for that one. But there's such a wide variety of what's out there. It's going to take some look, but we're in fairly good shape. There's no great rush at this point to get to it, but it's a good piece of equipment until we have the full numbers. Because the other issue is who's going to actually do the work. Finding a trackless person around here. My preference is finding someone who actually works on these a lot to give us a full evaluation of it, and that might require flatbedding somewhere. But to me, a little flatbed trip's worthwhile if you're getting a experienced person looking it over and going, you guys should,
Yeah.
Well, doesn't North Bennington and Bennington both have one of those?
North Bennington does. Fairly new one.
They have a, what's the name of that thing? The thing they just got. We had their salesman up here too. The one that North Bennington and Bennington just bought. It's not Wacky, it's something else. We don't see the use for it for us, because it's essentially a bucket loader you start converting to things. And again, you get into the expense of doing that. And we don't need another bucket loader, and it's kind of wide. We don't have any attachments for it, and it starts around $75,000.
Okay.
So we're not inclined to go that route. Because other than plowing the snow, it's going to sit. We don't have any multifunction.
No, I'm just thinking, Dave, that, if you found a company or some other town that had them, they might know the sales.
Yeah, well, we have a sales company.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we have them, and they're actually looking for a place for us, because apparently there's not many trackless repair places. Because most of the communities are smaller up in this area, this is a brand new, nearly $200,000 piece of equipment without attachments. So you need to have a sizable community to make this a worthwhile investment new. But used, it's a pretty impressive piece of equipment. But new, you have to have a good 100,000 people in parks and all kinds of places to take this thing to make it worthwhile. So.
Well, the reason I bring it up is we decided not too long ago that that it was at end of life. It's 20 years old or something
Yeah,
like that.
it's probably 20 years
And we were
old.
going to spend $30,000, $40,000 on a tractor to clear the snow off the sidewalks, and now we're talking about repairing it again. And depending on how much the repair is, if it's $10,000, that's a significant chunk of a $30,000 or $40,000 tractor. And if it gets us several more years, that's one thing, but it's 20 years old now, and I'm just worried that we don't see what's going to break in 6 months, and then we've just spent, $10,000 going down the hole after
And I agree with that. That's why, part of it, besides getting the price list and recommendations, I'd like to have an experienced trackless, mechanic look at it and give us a kind of a real look. We can get a tractor. It'll be kind of single purpose, which will just plow the snow. I mean, that can be done for 30,000. And it'll probably last for 30 years doing it.
But the trackless has a sander attachment to it.
Yep, has a sander, has a brush, it has all the attachments. That's the thing with it. It's ready to go and can continue to go. The engine is in good shape. It's the pivot joint, because it articulates. And
That's pins and bushings, that ain't.
yeah, that's not
That
much.
shouldn't
It's
be
the
bad.
transmission that we got a price for. I think Steve's. Don't quote me. It might have been 6, but I think it was 4,000 for the transmission. It's just at this point we're gathering information to see what the best route is, because we can put something on the road for the next 10 years for $10,000-$12,000. That'd be nice. On the other hand, if you spend $10,000-$12,000 and the front end falls off next year, it's
Then our $30,000-$40,000
Yeah, it's-
tractor costs $40,000-$50,000.
Yeah, exactly. So we're in the investigation process of it. And hopefully, we're not gonna have any major snow anymore, so we can continue
Yeah.
on for a while.
Yeah, it hadn't snowed since... what
Since
was
this
it?
morning.
This morning, yeah.
I don't think I turned the lights on. I noticed that the sun has gone down.
Oh, yeah. The people at home are probably wondering when we're gonna fade out completely.
Yes, I had to cut some things in the budget and then the lights went. so.
None of the lights shine on us.
Yeah,
so,
well,
yeah.
someday I'll get light bulbs too.
Anything else on roads? All right, Cinda Morris. Welcome. Cinda, my neighbor, was giving me eggs the other day and telling me that she would be willing to be one of our commissioners to BCRC. We're allowed two. Ken is currently our only serving Bennington County Regional Commission commissioner, and so we're here to consider her nomination to that second position. Welcome. Why would you want to do that?
Why would I want to do that? Well, actually, I'd like to do it because I really like planning for the long distance. And I've admired BCRC for gazillion years, but never had the time when they had vacancies when I could do that. I'm retired now, so I definitely have time. And I like the stuff they do. I mean, it's regional planning, transportation stuff, emergency management, and it's county-wide. And a lot of it is implementing, I think, policy that gets established by the state, and they facilitate the process of towns implementing that stuff. They do an awful lot of legwork for all of our communities.
They do.
And it's really interesting stuff.
Jim Sullivan regularly asks me for commissioners. He'd like to see a full complement, and he would like to see Shasberry fully represented.
Cinda was on the Economic Development Committee with me, invaluable member, and she was part of the driving force that made the Village Center the designation happen, which means we can get tax credits for improvements to code and facade and that sort of stuff. So I make a motion that she be appointed to the commissioner.
I second it.
We have a motion from Art to appoint Cinda Morris to the BCRC as a BCRC commissioner. Any other discussion? That was seconded by
Oh.
Joe, let me say.
Sorry.
Yeah, I left that out. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So that appointment is approved by a vote of 400.
Thank you.
Thank
Cinda.
you for
So
agreeing
a
to serve.
question is, how does reporting back to you guys work? Do you just get copies of the BCRC minutes when they meet? What do you want something in particular?
We would like something, yeah. We don't have a formal process. I go to most of the meetings, so I'm informed about it. But would be nice, yeah, if you would like to report to us on the things that are going on over there regularly, that would be good.
Okay.
We really should be staying on top of that.
I'll see Ken there and spare you a meeting. I know you attend a lot of them. Okay, so you don't need me for anything else?
I think we are done.
Thank you, Cindy.
Thank you, Cindy. Okay, item 10, I left open for Lake Perrin discussion, Lake Perrin project discussion, the Shires project. I know that several of you have been gathering more information about the project. I wanted to give you a chance to share anything you've learned or share your current thoughts on it. Joe, I know you had discovered that you have a brother-in-law living in one of the Shires projects.
Right, yep. So I gave him a call and I talked with him. It's in the North Branch Street area. And he really had nothing but great things to say about how the Shires run their housing projects, how they manage them. There's never, I talked to him about domestic disputes with the cops there. He said never. He goes, and he's just very, very pleased with the way they run it. Very professionally done. He said it's always quiet there. And the times I've been there to visit him, I gotta admit, it is. It's very quiet. You don't hear any yahooing going on. Snow removal, he said, in the winter when it snows, he goes, they're right there to clean it up. He said it's a really great place to live. He's enjoying it. And unfortunately, he's gonna have to find a larger place because his family's growing. But but he really gave me a thumbs up on the Shires as far as how they manage their housing. And there's a lot of rules and regulations that the tenants have to comply with. Such as no like garden gnomes and pink flamingos out in the front yards. So they're also enforcement is there to keep the aesthetics of the building outside looking clean and orderly. And I guess if you don't like the way they have their rules, then you can find another place to live. So, but he's very pleased with it. And he told me, he said, Joe, they're a great organization and they really manage their properties well. So I can say that.
Mm-hmm. Ken, Art, anything you want to?
I guess the only comment would like to make is that the vote that this board takes at our, is it the 10th or the 11th, we will be meeting, there will be a public thing.
The 11th, the Wednesday, yes, at 7 o'clock there will be a public meeting about the Shires project, which is part of the process that they're required to go through for their funding. That, David, we're scheduling that at the school, correct?
It's still scheduled for here, unless you want me to move it to the school.
Okay, I thought you'd already moved it.
No, because this is still available. If we had gotten underway, we would have moved it, but I can
For the
contact
moment,
the
it's
school
still
tomorrow.
scheduled for here.
Yes.
All right.
That by no means says that the project will go through. There's still the zoning and Act 250. If people are concerned about being their neighbor and that sort of stuff, that's when they have their day in court. Our vote is only to allow the town to be a pass-through for the money. We are not approving or disapproving the entire project. All we're doing is just approving a pass-through for the town, for the money to pass through the town, that's all.
Right.
Everybody has their day in court through the zoning and Act 250.
Yeah, the DRB. Yeah.
Because it's in District Number 1, all the school monies goes directly to North Bennington. It does not affect Shasbury at all. All the school, the part of your taxes which is for education goes to North Bennington, does not affect Shasbury at all.
Well, it's a little more detailed than that. I've been digging into that myself because I was a little unsure. They have school choice over there, so they can choose to send students to Shasbury. It is the case, the way the state funding works is schools get money back according to how many students they have. And it's complicated, it's equalized pupil, there are a lot of details to it. But I've talked with our principal, Jeff Johnson, And as I knew from all the years I spent in school board meetings over there, they would love to have more students. They've got plenty of capacity, and every student who comes in the door is another roughly $15,000 to their budget that helps them cover fixed cost. I have talked with Ray Molyneux, who's the chair of the school board over there in North Bennington, and he confirms that it works kind of the same way. There's differences in detail, but essentially for every student they get money back from the state, and they are happy to have all the students they can get over there as well. Anything else we want to discuss?
I've got probably more calls on this than anything since I've been on the board, mainly from private landlords that feel that they're not equal or not getting a fair shake from the taxes with shires. And I've looked into a lot of things on it, and I've got more to look at. But mainly, and I don't understand all of it, but it seems like somehow Shires is getting a property tax benefit that the average private landlord is not getting. And the regular private landlords, kind of feel that the government's working against them, I think.
So it's an uneven playing. field,
Yeah,
is
it's
what
not,
you say.
not even
Yeah.
playing field. And that's just what I've got so far. Oh God, I don't know, I would say I've talked to at least a half a dozen private landlords so far. And
Well, I think Chris, our chair of our planning commission, is here. He's also the secretary for Shires Board, and I bet he will tell you that that money that they get to do this, that you're saying makes the playing field uneven, comes with a lot of burdens. And part of it is, the fact that we're discussing it. We have to be a conduit for the money. They have to have public hearings to build a complex. Private landlord doesn't have to have public hearings if he just wants to build an apartment complex. Joe and I were talking earlier Stephanie mentioned at the last meeting that part of their funding contract requires them to maintain the property and maintain the workforce affordable rents for a period of 20 years, is it, or is it 25?
20.
20?
I think so,
I
yeah.
think it's the life of the project.
I believe I heard Stephanie say something about a 20 or 25 year.
Everything is planned on that basis, but I'm not sure what the actual agreement about rent is. I mean, one thing I would point out that's different between Shires Housing and private landlords is that the maximum rent we can charge is capped. So, in that sense, we're at a disadvantage. It can't be more than 30% of income. Our margins are very small.
So do you feel that kind of private homeowners that rent or renters, do you feel that kind of gives them a disadvantage? I mean, if they have a cap with Shires, and is that pricing the other people out of the market? I guess is what I'm trying to say.
I'm not sure I understand your question.
You're saying that there's a cap. The difference between Shires and a renter or someone who rents an apartment, the difference is that they have a cap on their rent. They can only charge so much based on income, where a private renter doesn't. Sky's the limit. He can charge what he wants. So what I'm getting at is, do you think that prices them out of the market? All of a sudden now, the renter that's renting an apartment is at a disadvantage because of a cap with Shires? I mean, is that what I'm getting at? Is how they compete with Shires?
Who competes with Shires?
We're talking about landlords.
I'm listening to you very closely.
Okay, so we're talking about landlords that are renting apartments. How do they compete with Shires? I mean, Shires has a cap, landlords don't. Basically, the sky's the limit, they can charge what they feel their apartment's worth.
Right.
So, and if Shires is under the market, you know, your general market price of a rental, then how do they compete? You see what I mean? Now all of a sudden they're priced out of the market.
Well, the requirement of our funders is that we track tenants' income. It has to be certified once a year. That the basis for being funded is that people don't spend more than 30% of their income on rent. And so that's the cap. And, you know, it varies household to household. And the margins are very small, which is why we're always watching our money carefully, because, you know, we can't just raise the rent to make up differences.
So people that stay in the workforce housing or Shires housing, 30% of their income goes towards rent.
Right.
Where a landlord who's renting to somebody in the same, let's say, income level, if he needs, you know, by his requirements, he needs to make more money on his rent to cover his expenses, well, then he's gonna lose that tenant probably to the Shires. Because he's gonna charge more than their 30%.
Right, but
Mm-hmm.
people have to be income qualified for Shires housing,
I
which
understand.
isn't true of the whole private sector.
I understand that.
Right. So, but you know, in actual fact, as near as I understand it, that there is a lot of overlap between the rent prices for Shires housing and the private sector. That it's not a cliff that the two things intersect.
Yeah, I'm just basing off like Ken's concerns with people that have called him, landlords that have spoke with Ken about, you know, the rents and feeling that it's an uneven playing ground. I was just trying to get some clarification.
Well, did that answer your question?
Not really, no, but
Well, ask it a different way. I'll try.
Let's maybe take that one offline. It seems like it's a little hard to wrap our head around. But I guess one other comment I would make, Ken, is yep, there are the landlords who I can see where they would feel that this is government subsidized competition for them. I guess would that be a fair way to say
Yeah,
how they see that? The other thing I would point out is the other side of that coin is the renters. You know, there's the landlords on one side of that equation and the renters on the other side of the equation. And according to information I dug up this weekend that I sent to the board, the best information I found was a 2015 report. The vacancy rate in Bennington County is 0.4%. 0.4%, where a healthy real estate renter's market is considered to be 4 to 6%. So at the moment, the playing field is tilted totally towards the landlords. And according to this same report, in fair market apartments, which are apartments that, unlike Shires, that are just where the charge is whatever is the fair market charge, the vacancy rate is 0.0%, meaning they are full up and waitlisted. And in 2015, and I don't think anything's gotten any better since then, the typical wait list was between 2 and 150 renters long. So
well,
I understand how you're.
the other complaint I've got, and I don't understand how this works, but it's been mentioned that depending if it's senior housing or affordable housing, or I guess apparently according to what I read, Shires has mobile home parks too, that the regular landlord property tax is paid at the homeowner tax rate. In other words, your primary homestead, I guess they call it, for property taxes is based on your income. You would get a rebate back from the state for your homestead. Anything that's not your homestead is taxed at commercial rate for your property taxes. And according to what the landlords are telling me, that Shires gets a tax discount rate somehow too. Right? I don't know.
They get a tax discount on school taxes.
On their school taxes.
Yeah, and I believe they get a 10% discount on school taxes, is what we got from Stephanie in that email, yeah.
And how is that fair to a private landlord though? He doesn't get a cut on it.
Again, those are the conditions that are put on Shires. I mean, anybody can do what Shires is doing if they wanted to put up with the hassle of getting that money.
All I'm saying, I don't dispute that, Tim.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is that it kind of looks to me like either the federal, state, and local government being us, that we are siding against the private landlord, and I don't.
Again, I come back to the vacancy rate in this county and the lack of housing that we had. I don't see how you worry about landlords in a situation like this where people can't get
I'm
decent
I'm worried about everybody being fair, that's all I'm worried about.
So does the Shires Housing get any kind of a discount for being a not-for-profit versus a landlord who obviously is for profit? I mean, is there some kind of something, is that what you're getting at?
Well, it's just, I mean, I was in business for 32 years, and it just seemed like the longer I was in business, the harder it was to stay in business, because it seemed like every time you turned around, the government's finding another way to beat you up. And I kind of feel that's the same way.
I can't dispute that it is competition for landlords in a market where we're not getting from the landlords what we need. I think, any thoughts there? All right. Well, again, the next step in this process is a public hearing. It's next Wednesday, the 11th, 7 o'clock, where
6 o'clock, I believe it is. Is it 7?
no, I ask it to be moved to 7 because that's when we typically have hearings here.
Oh, okay, I didn't get that.
Well, we need to get
Okay.
that straightened out. Yeah,
Okay.
I think, hang on a sec. Let's see if I can clarify that real quickly. Yeah, I've got a ton of emails on the subject. I don't think I'm going to be able to figure out which one it is, but we'll get that straight. We'll get it up on the website, and we'll put the sign out front to make sure that we get the time and location right. Right, but it is next Wednesday. All right. Okay, next item, personnel policy legal review. We were looking at our personnel policy. David had found a model that the VLCT recommended as a personnel policy. It quite a bit lengthier and covered a lot more ground than our previous one. It was decided that we really needed to be more precise and legal in the way we were dealing with a number of things. We went through, David made changes to accommodate our local conditions, and then we sent it back to VLCT for legal review. That got marked up. There were just a handful of things that needed to be clarified by them that they said we needed to clarify. I went through and essentially took those comments to make those clarifications. That was circulated, I didn't circulate that till this weekend. Did everybody get to see that, or do we need to go through it? Okay.
Yeah, I do have some comments on some of the changes that
Okay.
we need to
All
go
right.
back on.
We can walk through that. One of the first one was defining full-time and part-time. We had defined full-time is above 40 and part-time is below 35, and the lawyer pointed out that we left out a gap there, so I just changed that to full-time is 35 and above, and part-time is below 35. Here I added a definition of public works to mean road crew, water department, and parks employees, because it's commented later on that the word public works gets sneaked in instead of road crew, so it needed a definition. We had said that all road crew are required to be available on an on-call basis. The attorney said that on-call has a specific legal meaning that we maybe didn't want to use, and that what I changed it to was the road crew are required to be available for work as required to keep town roads passable, especially during winter months. Do we think that captures what we mean to say there? Not that they're on call and getting paid 24/7 in case we need to call them, but they need to be available if we need them to make the roads passable. This one, David and I were arguing a little bit about it, and I'm open to discussion on it. And this is just, I think the wording here is a little vague. Among the things that we don't allow is being at work or driving one of the town trucks. It said being under the influence of drugs or alcohol. And to me, drugs means that if you smoked a cigarette or drank a cup of coffee, you're under the influence of drugs. And I think that's a little vague right there. I think we all know what we mean is that they're being impaired, but David, you think impaired is too strong a word?
Impaired, yeah, because impaired, from my experience in court with this, impaired has a definite meaning. Under the influence can be different things. I see what you're saying though, because in the context of this, it's kind of vague. I would suggest going back to being under the influence of illegal drugs or alcohol, because that goes in line with number 2 on that list. But if you define it as being impaired, you know, maybe I could stop and have a couple of drinks and not be legally impaired, but I've been drinking on duty. You know, so we ban alcohol, but saying impaired brings it to this level where just under the influence can be a much smaller amount. Because we have CBM, it gets down to 0.02. So I'd rather just go back to being under the influence of illegal, because I see what you're saying too. You get into, okay, well, there's lots of drugs, you know, but, you know, nicotine, caffeine.
Yeah, we've got to put illegal drugs in there.
Put illegal there. Instead of impaired, just go under the influence of illegal drugs or alcohol. I mean,
Yeah,
alcohol
I'm
is
just
banned in
wondering
number
if,
1.
my only concern there is, does opioids,
If you have it and you don't have a prescription, then it's illegal. If you have a prescription under number 2, it's legal, but you can't be driving a truck, which is where the bottom line comes in.
Well, yeah.
How's that go with marijuana in the state of Vermont now?
Well, we'll get to that when that gets passed. We'll look into that, but that is most certainly banned under the CBM, which, you know, there's a part there that I want to go back to also that I want to put back
Okay.
in.
okay. So let me
Yeah, but
reopen this so I can.
if you, like when I worked at Vermont Yankee, they have drug tests over there.
Mhm.
And if you are in a car with a person smoking a marijuana or cigarette, you will fail a drug test for 2 weeks, even if you're not smoking a cigarette.
Get new friends. I don't know.
Well, no, but they made a point of saying
Yeah,
that.
yeah. I mean, you know, you have to be, if you're in a sensitive job, you have to be aware of the environment you're in and how it can affect you. And that's the same thing back, because we used to do the same thing in police work. You know, you'd go raised someplace where everybody's puffing up and you're like, well, I better not be randomly selected tomorrow. We went around a lot of stuff tonight, you know?
Okay, so we like being under the influence of illegal drugs or alcohol.
Yeah, I think that just clarifies it. Now, the next part there that you deleted, I think it's important in the main body of the personnel policy to refer to our appendix, that is the CMV drug and alcohol policy, because that's a whole different level of responsibility on the part of the commercial vehicle drivers, and it's a mandatory federal policy. And I just think in the body of the main personnel policy, it's important to refer to this appendix so that there's no dispute.
Where is this appendix?
It's not part of this because we're not revising this, but the appendix is already part of our current policy. It's just going to be put onto this one. We're not
Okay,
changing the
my
appendix.
reason for taking that, for crossing that out is I was not aware of any drug and alcohol policy.
Yeah, it's part of our current policy.
Part
It's
of our
federally
current
mandated,
personnel
we have to
policy?
have it.
Part of our current personnel
Yes.
policy?
Well, personnel, when it applies to only,
Only CMV drivers, yeah.
it applies only to commercial drivers. You can have somebody up the park, working at the park that doesn't have to have a commercial driver's license. So this right here affects him.
Yes.
But there is also the fact that if you drive a commercial vehicle, you've got to go for random testing and all that sort of stuff. We aren't going to make somebody mowing the park do that.
Yeah, and that's a big difference because
Yes.
the people who have to adhere to this know that they're gonna be randomly selected. We do it monthly or nearly monthly. So, they're-
And is this the town CMV policy or is it?
no, this is all from the feds, you follow the guidelines.
So shouldn't this then say the state CMV?
Well, it's our adopted policy, so it should be our adopted policy. We didn't create it out of whole cloth, it's based on the federal and state regulations.
Okay, I'm fine with that. It needs to be in here though, if we're referencing it. If it's in our old policy, it needs to be in our
Well,
new.
yeah, it'll be the appendix right on the back of this, just like it was in the old policy.
Okay,
Because
So-
when the state, the VLCT framework for this only corrected things in the sexual harassment policy, they didn't, this policy on drug use for commercial drivers hasn't changed in years.
Okay.
So they didn't even put it in as a revision.
Yes.
You know, it's the same policy, nothing's changed.
No, it's got to stay there.
okay, but it needs to refer to what, appendix, or addendum C then?
It will be, yeah, we can go with, then A, B, let's make it
Tell you
C.
Yeah, we have addendums here
We
that
have A and B, so we can make it C.
are really not, yeah, they're,
They're really not addendums either, where they are.
yeah, the one is just where we sign it, and the other
Yeah.
one is the independent is a form for independent elected officers can pledge to go.
Well,
by the same
A is
line.
the personnel acknowledgement, which is a critical part too, because the person who's handed this has to sign off, it goes in the personnel policy. That's the only way you can hold someone accountable for it. And then B, addendum B is for an elected official to be bound by it, and that's when they take health insurance.
Yeah.
So we can make this appendix C.
Yeah.
I'll just change the
Well,
heading on it.
Like I say, we've got addendums right now, but yeah, I think.
Or addendum C, whatever.
Yeah. So I will just say, there, how's that?
Okay.
We have a clause in this document on tobacco use. I added this clause, replaces the tobacco-free workplace policy enacted by the Select Board in December 2016. That became effective January 2017, just so that we don't have to chase the other one
Yeah.
down, which was really just a motion, so this gets it all in one place.
And vacation leave.
Yeah, let's see, current employees will be credited with their annual vacation leave on the first day of each fiscal year. This was really just straight out of the comments
Mhm.
where it said before, annual vacation leave will be posted on the first day of each fiscal year for current employees. So it's just changing the wording there a little bit.
Yeah, that's fine. It's,
That's where we suggested to define public works. And here I think I actually might have made a mistake. David and I were talking about this. The original wording said 2 years vacation could be carried forward, which the attorney pointed out that could be taken to mean 365 days times 2 that you could carry forward. And now what we mean is this year's vacation plus last year's vacation, the amount that you earned could be carried forward. So what I said, 2 years worth of vacation, where 2 years worth means the amount of vacation the employee accrued in the preceding 2 years. And it sounds like that should maybe mean the current and preceding.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
what I would suggest is accrued in the preceding year and credited in the current year, because that'll qualify the 2 years.
Accrued in the,
Preceding year and credited in the current year. Because then they could never go over the two full years.
there?
Yeah.
Okay. And I believe that's it. And then adding in that
Addendum
CMV
C.
policy
Mhm.
as addendum C. And I guess I'd like to see that before I
Yeah.
vote on it, so.
Yeah, because, we'll put that in now to go around again, because I should have thought about that, because we should re-adopt that as we do this.
Yeah, yeah.
So we'll do that all
So
at the
let's,
next meeting, maybe.
we'll add that in, circulate that, and then it looks like the main body of it, we're all in agreement on, so if we don't have any problems with the CMV addendum, then we'll be ready to adopt at our next
The
meeting.
next meeting, yeah. Okay.
Good? Oops. Okay, personnel policy, legal review, town garage transfer station project. Anything to say
No, there's
there?
really no update on this for this week. We'll be signing the contracts later in the week. The process is our architect downloads the American Institute of Architects contract that was all agreed to, and I think the chair signs for the town because it's already been approved by the board, but we need the signature on the contract and the signature from Russell, and we'll be ready to go. Then it'll be about, easily a month to do the additional design parts of it, because it is a design build. They have the basic structure and the requirements, but there was an element of design in it that's incorporated into the price. So they were telling me Russell tentatively is thinking mid to late May when they'll start putting, the shovel in the ground and get things moving. One thing I did want to bring up though is the old generators and things that we
I was
have.
just going to ask you.
Now, even though I went and got a big legal disclaimer for selling these things, I have to admit I'm very nervous about transferring from the town directly to someone these old, God knows what's wrong with them, powerful generators from the Vietnam era. I can scrap all these for a couple of $1,000s. And then if someone wants to go to a scrapyard and get them, we're removed from the whole process. I don't know if I just have to be honest, it makes me nervous to think that for $10, someone's gonna come in and drive this thing off and try hooking it up, and somehow they got it directly from the town, even if they sign this waiver. And I think, looking at World War II, that would be really old. Vietnam War era, old generators should probably just be viewed as scrap, and we should just get rid of them, along with all the other odds and ends that are in that garage, because it's really,
When you say scrap for 2,000 or 3,000, is that, do we pay that or we get that for?
we get that. The current price today, actually, where did I write that down? On the notepad I left on my desk. It's very small. The average for a generator is about 11 cents over the last 30 days a pound.
Because of the copper.
Well, yeah, whatever they'll take the generator, they'll rip everything out of it.
Right.
But yeah, for scrap, it's like 11 cents. It's gone between 5 and 17 cents over the last 30 days. So through TAM, we could probably get rid of them for the big ones for 500 with the trailer. Sorry about that. With the trailer, and then the little ones, they all go for about 125, depending on the weight. But it's something to consider. We still have a month and a half to do this, but we can have a yard sale and let people drive these off at probably not much money, or we can just scrap them for their metal value. Something to consider, something to weigh on. The baler belongs to TAM, it's owned by TAM, so they're gonna take that. And the buildings themselves are just there.
Could you sell the generators as parts only?
I went to our attorney, because this does worry me, and had a disclaimer, a legal disclaimer written up that the person's taking responsibility, the town has no warranties, express, implied, and every other legal term we can throw in it over your driving away with this thing. But we still sold it. That's just what,
And that still bothers you?
yeah, it does. It's just something that I can see someone firing this up.
Well, what do we think we would sell it for?
The ones on the trailers for 500 apiece. Oh, if I had someone come there,
Yeah, if we yard saled it, what would we get?
I would think maybe $20 if I was lucky to get someone to tow it away.
No, I thought,
Or do you think more?
the ones on the trailer, there's two of them that are quite old, and they're just junk. But the ones on the trailer, the big diesel engines, I think there's some value to them for the right person. But
Yeah.
I would put a minimum bid of what you think the scrap is, and then if somebody wants to pay more than that, otherwise. But I can't see if they sign that waiver. I don't see how.
Okay. Well, that's why I'm putting it out here,
Are
because
you
it's,
worried about that?
I hadn't thought of it before. Of course, a waiver doesn't keep anybody from suing you.
No, but still.
I mean, I would say if we have any worry at all, we're not going to get much more than that. Do you think? I mean,
Probably not.
5,000 instead of 3,000. I don't.
oh, yeah, we're
I don't even
talking,
know
I think we'd be talking in the hundreds range of a variance between one or the other. I think, I don't know how many people would be interested in coming in and looking at this thing. I don't even know really how to describe it. It's basically come down, look at it.
Do they run?
Yeah.
Well,
The diesels they used to start them every two or three times a year, but it's been several years.
it's been at least 5 years since they've
But
started.
it's on a military trailer. It's a nice unit.
Yeah.
Aren't there two of them on the same
There's
trailer?
two, yeah.
Two of them right on the same trailer, big ones.
And the diesel engine, just because it doesn't run, don't mean it won't.
No,
I mean,
Yeah.
no,
diesel take right off.
nobody's arguing that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the engines are worth something, even if they don't use them as a generator.
Yeah.
Take the generator off them.
I think there's some value there.
That's why I'm tossing it out. We can have it a minimum bid.
Yep,
We can take the bids after an open house, and then the board can decide whether or not to accept the bids.
yep.
Because it's not like we're gonna auction them right there. I'll go to the transfer station some Saturday and say, come look, put in a sealed bid, by, the Monday of the next select board meeting, and we can discuss whether people want the things or not,
Okay,
and whether we want to sell them that way.
Yeah,
As long as
I'm
you got
okay
it
with
done
that.
by a
I mean,
lawyer, I
you
don't-
know,
Yeah.
say we'll take what it's worth in scrap or, you know, as the
Yeah.
minimum bid, and then,
yeah, I just don't like scrapping machinery. It just goes against my.
Yeah, well, let's do it that way then.
Yeah.
I'll just
Yes.
pick probably not this Saturday, the Saturday after, the open house day. Give everybody, if they're either gonna want them or not, so give them a week and,
Yep.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah. Okay.
write a scrap paper, doesn't have to be fancy, I'll give you $500 for
No,
it.
it's got a nice tarp on it, so take the tarp off and
Yeah,
so they can see it.
yeah, we'll open the garage up and, try and move the debris out.
might even hit the start button. Might even hit the start button.
And I can put the whole building on too, but, you know, for us to allow someone to dismantle it,
Yeah,
we're gonna have
that's,
to have a lot of insurance,
Yes.
full commercial insurance and everything.
I can see that,
I don't think
Yeah.
anybody's gonna wanna do that. If you haul the trailer out, you're kind of on your own.
yes. Okay,
All right, then we'll do that.
Okay, good.
And I think that's really it for the, until next week, you know, we'll start getting busy with this in the next few weeks, but right now it's just signing the contract.
you mentioned that it's a design building, I thought it was gonna be a Morton building.
Oh, no, the way it was a design build, so the Morton structure is the one we're getting,
Yes.
because we had a design build in case someone had an alternate.
Yes.
So all of them were based on the Morton building.
Yes.
But there's still elementals inside, you know, where exactly the wire is gonna be channeled in this.
right.
Because they all have to get their stamped diagrams and all that
All right.
stuff, so
Thank you.
that's where it
Yeah,
comes in.
that design is essentially because we stopped at the $10,000 specs, right, instead of getting a $30,000
Correct.
spec.
Yes,
from-
that's right,
yeah, so-
yes.
But that's all part of the, you know, of the bid we got,
Okay.
is finishing that.
Yeah. Okay, item 13, town clerk hours and compensation. Hi, Marlene. Marlene talked to me about the situation with her compensation. I thought it was something we ought to talk about, just in the timing of it. When a year ago, the town approved moving the clerk from collecting all of her fees to paying a salary, because that was voted on by the people, that decision, we applied that decision the next day. And so when she came in, she did not collect fees. She got the salary of $28,000 a year. And then a year goes by, and we had agreed that she would work more hours and that we would raise her compensation to $33,000 and offer health insurance in exchange for her providing more hours as a convenience to the public. Those kinds of personnel decisions, raises, and those sort of things we normally do on the fiscal boundary. And so, but Marlene was expecting that, you know, it would happen after she'd been at the old rate for a year. So there's kind of a gap in there where it's in kind of a gray zone. But she's not going to want to do the increased hours until she gets the increased compensation. So I'm of the opinion that we go ahead and increase her compensation as we were planning to do on July 1, do it now and let her start doing the increased hours as a convenience for the public.
She applied for the job with that understanding, and the people at town meeting were told that's what the conditions were going to be, so I think you're right. I think we gotta make it retroactive to the first of the year even.
Well, that's a different question. I mean, we could have done that. That, you know, that's debatable, I guess I would
Okay.
say. But certainly if we want to get, you know, the increased hours, we need to start paying her for it.
That's fair, okay?
But I'm open to the consideration that she was, you know, expecting the increased compensation that we put in the budget to kick in after she'd been here a year. Any other thoughts on that?
Are you looking for a motion then, or
Yes.
is there more discussion?
Whatever you want to do.
Okay. You didn't work the extra hours that we thought.
I put in extra hours pretty much every week, but I
Okay.
haven't started opening. I'm here, I put on the phone message that I'm here till 4 now, Tuesday, Thursday, and Wednesday.
Okay,
But, you know, Friday is still by appointment. I don't have regular Friday hours yet. And I'll be increasing a little bit on Mondays as well. So it's not official yet.
okay.
But you have been working more hours since the election?
No, since before the election. But yeah. It's just I don't have them posted.
Mm.
I still believe that she applied for the job with that understanding and that the townspeople, it was explained to them at town meeting and they approved it. So I'd like to make it retroactive to the first year.
I'm good just having it start now
Okay.
and upping the hours to have, you know, to coordinate with that.
That I think is more easily justified, that
Okay.
we're paying her for more hours and we're doing it now.
Okay, so that's going to be my motion.
So we have a motion from Art to pay the town clerk her increased salary to the rate of $33,000 a year. As-
Whatever it is in the budget.
Yeah.
It's vaguely 33,000.
Yeah,
I
to-
just turned the computer off, but bringing it up to what it
Raising-
was fiscal 19 budget will start now.
We'll start her pay at the fiscal 19 rate, and
Starting, what's your pay, what week? Are you in the middle of a, you get paid every 2 weeks?
Yes.
This is the beginning of a pay cycle
Okay,
today.
so, okay.
So today.
Starting today.
Make it
please.
today.
okay,
Okay, thank you.
Second.
Oh,
okay.
insurance.
So, yeah, the motion is for, to pay at the FY19 rate of compensation, which includes an increase in salary and health insurance.
I didn't say that, but
Is that what you meant?
you want to take two motions or just one?
I'd rather do it in one if that was your
Okay.
intention.
Yes.
Yes,
Oh,
okay. Can you still second that?
Yep.
Okay, now we can have discussion.
With the health insurance as soon as it can be.
As soon as we can do it, I don't know how, it
I
won't
can
happen.
put it in
immediately.
tomorrow.
Hmm?
I can put it in tomorrow. When it actually takes place is kind of, they'll tell me,
Yeah,
yeah. But that's, you know, to start, that's all I need. It's like every other employee, you know, as soon as you authorize it, I'll just fill out the details on the Blue Cross site and maybe it'll start tomorrow. It's kind of up in the air sometimes with them.
Yeah, okay.
Sometimes they want to wait.
yeah.
So that's the motion.
Okay.
Two of them.
All right, so the motion by Art, seconded by Ken, is to immediately compensate the town clerk at the FY19 salary rate, including health insurance.
Starting
immediately.
Starting
Immediately.
immediately.
Yeah.
Agree?
Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So that motion is agreed to by a vote of 4-0-0. All right. And that takes us down to other business. And Dave, do you have some?
No.
Okay.
No.
I just wanted to mention one thing. There's a bill going through the Senate, S-197, sponsored by our Senator Sears and Campion, that seeks to make polluters pay, is the way the bill reads, at least the way I read it. If you pollute, you pay in Vermont. And when I read the bill, I didn't see that it provided any relief that Shasberry had been seeking for a couple of years now, since PFOA happened in North Bennington. ANR expanded their search for PFOA to Shasberry. We had that big dust up in 2016, I believe it was, where we were testing wells. The ANR was testing wells all around our landfill, handing out bottled water and handing us the bill under the assumption that we were the responsible party for that. I wrote to our senators about that and got a very, very encouraging response back from Dick Sears about it. And he said that it was his belief that this new bill does not hold towns liable for landfill pollution, but he said he would send it to legal counsel, and if he found that that were the case, he would be open to an amendment from the House, from our House Representative Alice, to seek to put that protection in there so that towns don't get thrown into the same bucket of responsibility with companies who pollute for profit, which I think is fair and is the way it ought to be. So I just wanted to let you know that that was happening. We're currently waiting to hear what legal counsel has to say about that, but I was reading the bill and I was getting worried about it, and I was very encouraged by that response from Senator Sears.
I heard that the bill was pulled, but I don't know, it could resurface again. One of the concerns is that it just could drive the insurance premium for any company right through the roof, because the insurance companies are just going to have to put in a huge premium because it's so broad. Never, it goes on forever. It's in perpetuity. I know New York State has what they call the scaffolding law, which all of a sudden got to be determined if anybody fell any place while you're working. And I know it's extremely hard for a person to buy workman's compensation insurance in New York State just because of the scaffolding law, which was only meant to if somebody falls off a scaffold, but the lawyers have taken it and just turned it so that if you just trip and fall, you fell, so therefore you get all the benefits of that sort of stuff. And I know I'm afraid it would hurt Vermont's economy terribly if it went through. That's the reason I heard that it was pulled, but it could resurface itself someplace.
I can certainly believe that. Like I say, in my reading of the bill, it was very simple.
Oh my God.
If you pollute and it damages anything, then you pay for it. And there didn't seem to be anything in there that would give a town that was mandated to run a landfill any kind of wiggle room. So, yeah, there may be other problems with that as well. Okay, action items. I didn't write any down, but I know we have one to get the time of the Shire's hearing straight.
We need to do that. And if you have some sense of the numbers,
I think we want to be at the school.
all right, why not just get to school?
Let's
Just do
just
the
move to
school.
the school, okay.
PA system and everything.
Yeah.
All right, I'll get on to them tomorrow. Okay.
Okay.
You're going to have an open house at the landfill?
Yeah, I'll get a date for that.
Yep, okay.
I'll figure out when I can get that in, and we'll do a little posting, put it on the web, maybe a small ad in the banner. We'll see what happens.
Generators and assorted equipment, right?
Yeah, assorted something. Lots of non-viable equipment, right? Right here.
You don't use the lawn, I mean, there used to be a riding lawnmower and all that sort of stuff up there.
Oh, we took that.
Yeah, so,
We have that. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
so-
that one works, and
Yeah, right, okay.
that was used by them up there. And they also had that, the push brush hog up there, we took that. I mean, we took the things that
okay,
we can use.
so you've been through it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we also have the personnel policy addendum to
Yep.
attach and circulate. Anything else we said we were going to do?
Well, I'll change all Marlene's stuff tomorrow.
You what?
I'll change all Marlene's things tomorrow.
Okay.
And one thing I should have mentioned before, I am going to be renting 2 containers, 20-foot containers, that will be on this property. One will have to do with renovating up here because I'm going to have to move stuff. The other one is I have to move the water department out of their garage into a container so they can store all their stuff. So we'll have them both back here somewhere during the construction phase. But they're fairly cheap. I'm probably going to, well, I wouldn't say but I have inquiries out to 3 different companies.
And you said this was on hold because of that stairway.
No, it's on hold for the permit from fire safety. but it's gonna happen. And when it happens, it's cheaper to get two at once than have them come separately by several $100s, so, I'll get the 220s at once, because we'll need the one for water until at least December. And then we'll take it from there.
You were playing with the idea of creating a transfer station down here, a Jiffy, what was it called, a Jiffy?
Yeah, that was, what was it, Fast Trash.
Fast Trash.
Yeah, it didn't fly.
It didn't? Shucks.
Fast Trash didn't happen, so. But this worked out, now that we've taken, because that was add alternate to the bid, and now that we've accepted that add alternate, Russell will just build a transfer station first. That'll be open, and then they'll knock down the other one, so we don't really need it now. But I did like the Fast Trash. Unbelievably, the state told me no one's ever applied for a temporary transfer.
I can't believe
I was
that.
like, really? No one's ever had to move the transfer station? But, oh, well.
Yeah.
I think Manchester Dave has got some of those sidewalk machines. So you might
Oh, yeah.
get a hold of them, see where they get their parts.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, like I said, Clark, who we get the parts from, I mean, they're a dealer for them, but it's getting a mechanic. And they're saying, well, somebody, I don't know if it was them, no, it was somebody else. They're saying, well, we think we can get somebody, but I would like someone who, you know, it's like getting a CAT certified mechanic. I'd kind of like to find a trackless certified mechanic, just to look at it and say, you guys are crazy, get rid of this.
Just as a thought,
Yeah.
take that down to Chuck Morris. That guy can fix anything. You get him the parts and he'll fix it.
Yeah, I've heard that option too. There's options out there. We don't know which direction we're going yet. Let's get the parts list first.
Yeah.
The parts list alone might push us in a different direction.
No, I don't know. That's a machine.
Yeah.
When you get something like that, it's the body of it is heavy enough so you can do a lot of repairs on it and still have something.
Yeah, that thing is a tank. It really is.
All right. If there's nothing else, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Moved by Ken, seconded by Art. All in favor?
Aye.
We stand adjourned.